अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। एक दफ़ा फिर आपके साथ उज़मा खान और आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम सिस्टर्स कॉर्नर और हमारे साथ आज मौजूद हैं ब्रदर फ़ारूक, जिनसे कि हम बात कर रहे हैं कि डेट्स जो हैं वो किस हद तक सफ़र करते हैं और उनके क्या प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं। हम हमेशा बात करते हैं औरत के लिए आवाज़ उठाती हैं, विमेंस पावर के लिए आवाज़ उठाती है, उनके राइट्स के लिए आवाज़ उठाती है, लेकिन हम उनकी हक तलफी कर देते हैं। हम ये नहीं कहते हैं कि मर्द के भी हकूक़ होते हैं, वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा सफ़र कर रहे होते हैं। जैसे कि ब्रेक से पहले ब्रदर फ़ारूक से बात हो रही थी कि उनकी लाइफ जर्नी की जो मसाइल हैं डाइवोर्स के, उसी टॉपिक को आगे लेके चलना चाहूँगी। ब्रेक से पहले बात कर रहे थे कि जो होता है वो बहुत सारी लेडीज़ अपने मम्मा का कहना मानती हैं और बहुत अच्छे रिश्तों को समटाइम्स अपने वालदा के या अपनी फैमिली के कहने पे तोड़ देती हैं और बहुत बाद में जाकर रियलाइज़ होता है आई हैव डन वेरी रॉन्ग थिंग, और उसका जो इम्पेक्ट है पूरी लाइफ के लिए उनको भी झेलना पड़ता है, सफ़र करती हैं और अपने बच्चों को भी सफ़र करवाती हैं। लेकिन ऑब्वियसली कि हम लोग जब बात करते हैं कि मम्मीज़ बॉय से शादी नहीं करनी चाहिए, कि ऑल द टाइम लिसनिंग मम, तो इसी तरह से जो मम्मीज़ गर्ल्स भी होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि कुछ औरतें जो होती हैं वो सुबह नाश्ते से लेके रात को सोने तक हर चीज़ अपनी माँ के कहने पे करती हैं और उनको ये होता है कि बस जो मम्मा ने कह दिया, हस्बैंड राइट भी है तो वो रॉन्ग है। मम्मा ने कह दिया नहीं वो आएगा खाना बनाएगा तो उसने नहीं बनाना, दो इवन शी इज़ सिटिंग एट होम वॉचिंग टेली एंड यू नो। तो जो हमारे माशरे की कुछ तल्ख़ हकीकतें हैं उनको भी उजागर करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। सो वी हैव टू ब्रिंग देम आउट एंड स्पीक आउट for the rights of men as well as long as for women's, so we can have the balanced society. Brother Farooq.
Okay, so you're saying let's talk specifically about mummy's boys, yeah?
Yeah.
And this whole term mummy's boys, right? Okay, look, firstly I'll address it from a couple of different angles, right? There is a situation in the community where we've grown up with jannats at the mother's feet.
Yeah.
You keep getting told Islam is very much, don't even say uff to your mother or father, that respect. Now, unfortunately, a lot of boys don't realise our parents culturally, generationally push that out more and more, and that's ingrained into us. And there's no boundary or barrier. So even when then, I agree, when people get married, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, this issue has been going on generations, hundreds of years. It's not going to change today. So my personal policy, well, against contrary belief, my policy is that all this living together, I don't believe in it personally. You're in your 20s, you're a grown man, you're married, your wife, she's an adult as well, in your 20s, you should have if you can afford it and it's possible, I believe you should have your own space to give you the best chance. You don't need this unnecessary interference. And I'll accept that in the community, mothers have this unhealthy issue with controlling the boys again, and it's done through this disguise of Islam, I believe. They use Islam to keep this element of control because they're old, they're scared, they're going to be alone, so they use it to their advantage. And it is also to a certain degree where if a guy does something for his wife or they're doing something, it's almost like there's this unhealthy jealousy. Now, we didn't know what this was up until now. A lot of research has been done by various organizations, and it's almost like mum is jealous because the son is now doing things for his wife, which mum from that generation, they never got these things.
Yeah.
They never had these holidays, they didn't have their own space, they didn't have choice on what color they painted the wall or these things.
Yeah.
So when the son is doing it, there's this element of, oh, he's doing it for her, but no one did it for me. So it's a psychological thing. Look, and I'm not saying this, studies have shown this behavior. So there is that little bit of resentment that plays out ultimately. So I think nip it in the bud. I don't think any adult should be, if you can afford to have your own space as two adults, you should be personally have your own space. So I'll nip that in the bud right there.
Okay. Aapke nazeek, jaise ke, you know, what we have discussed earlier, I said that the same way as mummy's boys, mummy's girls, we should be having a term, mummy's girls.
Yes, mummy's little princess.
Mummy's princesses.
Mummy and daddy's, what the term is,
you know,
mummy and daddy's little princesses.
So where, you know, we cannot have the balance because of mummy's girls.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say, I'm just using the term, I don't know. You know, as we have mummy's boys, because people normally blame that they are mummy's boys, that's why we can't carry on.
Yes.
Because they listen to their mums. In the same way for the ladies as well.
Yes.
Because they listen to their mums, that's how they can't
Yes.
respect, or they cannot listen to their husbands.
Yes. Well,
You know?
well, this is it. Let's address this for a second. Yeah? Let's look into this. So let's say a girl now a girl's 25. She's born and raised in England. She's more than likely school, college. In many cases, a lot of them have got degrees, doctors, pharmacists, lawyers, financial department. What do you call it? Work in finances, banks. So they're educated young women. Yeah, strong, educated women who you can stand their own ground. Now, if you don't have the maturity to understand the relationship between you and your husband and the boundaries of privacy, you should respect. This is your husband. This is your life companion. That's the first issue, that you go and tell your mum these things. Yeah, that's the first problem, the lack of maturity. Add to that, your mum, who's potentially 60 plus, grew up in a different time, different generation, different era, has different thinking. उनकी सोच अलग है, उनकी दुनिया अलग है. They have, the elder generation, they lack emotional intellect. You know this. You're telling her the ins and outs of your marriage, and then to think that you're taking advice from someone who doesn't really understand you, doesn't understand the way things are now, doesn't understand the dynamics of your marriage. This is where I think the problem is, the lack of maturity. And a girl should understand, if you want marriage advice, maybe your mum is not the best, but maybe you need a neutral person. Your mum has your best interest at heart. So mum is going to advise you on what you've told her and her protecting her daughter as a parent, not what's right for the situation. In a lot of cases, it's bad advice because of, hamara khune, so we'll stay with we'll just give the advice to pull favor for our child, not what's right for the situation. So I think girls need to have some maturity to understand the magnitude of this relationship. Because if you are divorced, and anyone out there who's been divorced, your mum and dad are not going to go through it with you. You're alone in there. When you go to bed at night and you close your eyes, it's you and your thoughts, and it's your life.
That's very true.
When you go into your grave, we're all going to go alone. Our parents are not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
You have to be adults and make your own way as men and women.
Yeah, this is very true, honestly. But once you take the decision, you are the only one who is going to deal with it. Nobody is going to stand with you. Maybe the time of the marriage, a lot of people would like to advise you, or your husband is wrong. And once you get out of it, then they blame you. You got the divorce, it was your fault. And they all start blaming you. If it's a man or a woman, mostly it happens with women, but obviously sometimes they're more emotional and they take the decisions, without thinking or having full understanding of anything. So it is very important to understand and then take the step, हमारे सोसाइटी में लोगों के पास इतनी अवेयरनेस नहीं है. Obviously, we need to get more knowledge of our deen, what our deen is actually, what it is saying, what are the rights of husbands, and how to deal our personal affairs.
Yes.
What would you like to advise? Obviously, a lot of people are listening, watching the program at the moment. There should be kind of some workshops.
Yes.
Would you be agree in the mosques or different institutions, organizations, where they can, spread the word for men as well? Because 80% victims are generally saying that they are women's, but there are men's a lot these days as well.
Yes. नहीं, बात ये है कि जो शादी, divorce की जो initiation है ना, वो is done by the women, the sisters. They're initiating divorce. Majority across the globe, majority women are initiating divorce. Yeah. It's just now, अभी हमारी community में अभी this is now penetrated in, where our sisters are now initiating divorce. Now, before I think, like you said, marriage, before anyone gets into a marriage, I think maybe there should be some training or courses, like in other countries. I think Malaysia, you have to go through some training and some courses for men and women, where they give you some insight and training into marriage. Now, if you're a good boy and a good girl, you've never been involved in any sort of haram, say, relationships or anything like that, you're not from that sort of family, suddenly you're married. If you've had no training, no exposure, no guidance, how do you know what's right, what's not? You don't know. So some training we definitely need. The problem with the mosque and the Islamic establishment as a whole is they've completely just switched off from all of this. They've just taken the position where women were the victims, these guys are bad. There is no talk about, after divorce, any support, especially for men. It is non-existent, even where I know many fathers who have lost contact with their children for years. The mosques, the Islamic establishments as a whole do not want to talk about it. They do not want to touch it. They do not want to address it. It is a very unpopular subject. Even if you look across the whole of social media, none of the big influencers will ever talk about men's rights because predominantly the larger following is of the sisters. So they're not going to alienate the audience. And the element of, we talk about Islam, the position of a man and a father, it's so पीछे इतना दूर रह गया कि किसी को पता ही नहीं है. It's not even on the table of discussion.
या हालांकि इस्लाम में इसी वजह से कहा गया है कि अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त ने कि अगर किसी को सजदे का हुक्म होता तो हावंद के लिए होता. तो यहाँ से एक हस्बैंड की अहमियत का पता चलता है कि अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त के बाद अगर किसी के लिए सजदे का हुक्म होता तो वो हस्बैंड के लिए होता. तो हमारे यहाँ पे बहुत सारे राइट्स वेमेंस के हवाले से भी बात करते हैं बिकॉज आई थिंक दिस इज़ द रीज़न क्योंकि ज़्यादातर लॉज ही जो है ना वो औरत को प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं, मैन को नहीं करते हैं, जिसकी वजह से जो मसाजिद वाले भी हैं आई थिंक काइंड ऑफ समवेयर एट सम पॉइंट दे आर लाइक काइंड ऑफ स्केर्ड, लाइक औरत के खिलाफ बात कर ली तो यू नो दे विल गेट इन्वॉल्व इन द क्राइम. लेकिन ये कोई नहीं इस पे बात करता कि एक जो वालिद की एब्सेंट है, जो प्रेजेंट नहीं होना बच्चों की लाइफ में, वो किस तरीके से उनको इम्पेक्ट कर सकता है उनकी लाइफ को. I would like to go for disqualified dads, you know, tell us a little bit more about, and then tell us how that can impact the children if the father is not present in their life.
Okay, so the thing is this, हमको ये सोचना चाहिए. If you look, say, in England, America, wherever the South Asian Muslim communities have gone, they have always done well. They've succeeded, काम किया, business किया, तरक्की की, बहुत अच्छा किया. Now that was because of the sub-Indian continent, the Asian culture, the family unit was valued. Marriage was very sacred. Shaadi ko bahut kya bolte hai, like from the Asian community, from the motherland. Marriage is revered. Now, as the respect for marriage has eroded away in this environment, you got to understand the fact that we're on this channel talking about this is the last 20, 30, 40 years of work from the Asian community because of the family unit. The progress and the success we had is because of the family unit. So if you look at other communities, they've not progressed as much as, say, the Chinese and the Asian community because we revered the family unit. Those communities that are not progressing, if you look, the family unit was destroyed 40 years ago. So as far as this next generation now in the South Asian Muslim community, we don't know what it looks like. We don't know how this looks now and how it's going to affect the community because it's not affected us until now. So these generations now growing up, the damage that they're going to take, the emotional trauma and the damage they're going to take, the parental alienation, the kids that don't grow up with their fathers, studies have shown by every metric they do not do as well as a child who has both parents involved in their life.
Yeah.
Studies have highlighted this. But the impact we don't know yet because we haven't seen it yet. In another 5, 10, 15 years, perhaps we'll see the full impact of this on that next generation.
Yeah, this is very true. Obviously, when we see the children without parent or dad, as a single dad or as a single mom, they are not that confident or they are lacking something in their life. Obviously, it's very important to have both parents, even though you are separate, you know. Even you get divorced, but it's really important to have a healthy relationship in between two parents and get involved in children growth and their development and in their life. What would you like to advise, you know, single moms or single dads, you know, if they are not getting involved in children's life? If maybe, you know, sometimes the men's plays tricks as well, you know. Jab divorce ho jati hai, then do not pay financially, you know, for their children, for they think that, okay, we are done, you know. We are not going to get into that situation where we have to financially support the children. But kids are kids, you know. You need to support them.
Yes, no, look, 100%. You know, what I say is this, look, shayad, whether you were a good husband or a bad husband, whether you're a good wife or a bad wife, doesn't mean you are a bad mother or a father. You can't, look, the fact is there is going to be divorce. It can happen. But we need to be mature about this and approach this, put our egos aside and at least protect our children. As a parent, man or woman, your first duty is to your child to ensure they are protected. But unfortunately, in the community, regardless what Islam says about breaking ties of kinship is next to kufr, there are children that have been completely segregated away from father using unfortunately, the family court system and the non-Islamic rules that they have, especially against the father. Sisters, their family, they have adopted this.
Yeah.
Now, fathers, unfortunately, with the paying element, everyone should pay for their children, no doubt. But when a father's been made homeless, he's homeless, they're living out their cars and the vans, they're living on people's sofas. I've walked these roads, I've done that, I've lived out of a van for years. Now, at that point, when you're going through trauma and pain, you don't really want to live. You're not about to go and work and earn the best money. Your mind is not there, you've given up on life. So, paying for children, and when you're not seeing your children, it's very difficult to motivate yourself to get out of bed, let alone work and provide. And this is what people don't understand, that these words may just sound like words, as in divorce, parental alienation, being separated from your child, trauma, these words they're just words. When you live this, it's very difficult to get up out of bed just onto your feet is a challenge every day. So what I say to all parents is, put your children first. Divorce is going to happen. Yes, you don't have to like each other. You don't have to talk to each other. But for the sake of your children, just give your children the best start so they don't end up damaged and they don't take this trauma with them into their life.
Yeah. Another point, Brother Farooq, I would like to discuss, because I do work with women's welfare as well. I have seen many ladies, women's coming and, if they had a contact with the father, your father or mother, they start, manipulating kids against father or against mother. So then it is impacting like kind of in a bad way.
Yes.
Rather than getting the positive energy in them.
Yes.
It is going towards negativity.
Yes.
For both parents. What would you like to advise about?
See, I think what you're talking about, तुम जो बात करो उसको बोलते parental alienation. जो एक बच्चे को तुम समझाओ, you say things about the other parents, negative things to that child. You are literally programming that child for negativity, to fail. You are programming that child to fail by pitting them against it. You understand, to a child, their whole world is mum and dad.
Yeah.
Now, if they've already lost, say, one parent overnight, dad, from the family home, बाप चला गया, ठीक है, he's gone. बच्चे के दिमाग पे क्या असर होता है? स्कूल गया, घर आया, और dad's gone. उनको तो फिर ये डर आ जाता है दिल में कि अगर, dad चला गया, अगर mum चले गई तो मैं क्या करूँगी? That fear उनके दिमाग में, they get scared.
Yeah.
Or then they start pandering to that one parent. And the other, what happens is, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, and I'm not saying it because it's about men or women, but in a lot of cases, because mum ends up with the children, whoever ends up with the children has more power, financial power, more options with the family law, and they can take more and they can damage the other person more. So then it's now incentivized if you get the child with your mindset, you get the child on your side, it benefits you. And this is the problem. And what I say to mothers is, the family court don't care about your children. They don't care about your children's future. If you look at overall the family law system, they have no interest. There are people that make money on the back of this. The more you don't get co-parent, the more third parties are making money.
Yeah.
And in the process,
that's how legal aid is working at the moment.
Yes.
Fully funded legal aid. It is very helpful, very supportive, where the domestic violence is happening in reality.
Yes.
But it is very kind of stressful situation where, kids are involved, and then in reality is there is no kind of domestic violence.
No, but the thing is this, in order to get the legal aid, to get the stronger position, you have to claim abuse.
Yeah.
Once you claim abuse, you are coerced. Now you understand, when you go to these legal aid lawyers, you go to all the services, you have to demonstrate some sort of abuse. So the buzzwords are coercive control, financial abuse, and threat to life. So all the cases you look at, the pattern's the same. They've been told this has to be demonstrated. Once you can demonstrate that, even if nothing's happened, you call the police, police will come, take father away, regardless. Even if father, in cases, has phoned the police because he was being abused, police took father away. This is the problem. Even if, when he's a victim, legal aid is only available to the sisters and ain't available to men. So men struggle on their own. And once you secure that, you secure the children, you control the game, and this is the problem. And on the back of, when father has to now fight to see his children through the court, the lawyers will say, advise the sisters, oh, don't do this, don't let him have it, make it difficult. So the more father fights, the more father pays, and the more mother argues and fights and puts stumbling blocks in place, the more the lawyers make. And what I'm saying to these mothers, these lawyers don't care about your children. They make £20,000 to £30,000 on each victim, each case. They don't care about these children.
Yeah.
So I say, think about your children. Listen, divorce is painful for both sides.
Yeah, true.
But this could be an opportunity, I say, for you to go and find someone that you do get along with and have a happier marriage. You can, but you both need to have the maturity to say, it didn't work out, let's move on, make sure we're there for the children, and let's move on with our lives. At some point, after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you have to come to that bridge and say, right, I can do better now, I can be happy.
Okay.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, that's a very good discussion. Actually, I'm lucky to have Brother Farooq to talk about men's rights as well. And this is what Islam is saying. One last message, because again, time is very short. I wish I can discuss more about the topic with Brother Farooq, but unfortunately we have very limited time. What would you last think you like to advise to the audience?
My advice is, put your children first. Think of your children, put your children first. Do not deny your children for your mistakes, for your problems, your mistakes, your trauma. Do not damage your children. Let's put the children first. Protect the next generation.
Thank you very much, Brother Farooq, for coming in today's show, and I hope all the sisters have enjoyed. One last thing from me. ज़िंदगी में बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें हो जाती हैं जहाँ पे हस्बैंड वाइफ को सेपरेट होना पड़ जाता है, इलादगी हो जाती है, लेकिन कोशिश हमेशा ये करनी चाहिए कि एक दूसरे को अंडरस्टैंड करें और एक दूसरे के लिए सपोर्ट का बाहिस बने, उनके लिए रिलैक्सेशन का बाहिस बने, पीस का बाहिस बने। और अगर बच्चे इन्वॉल्व हैं, अगर आप लोग अलग भी हो जाते हैं, तो कोशिश करें कि दे स्टे हैप्पी विद बोथ पेरेंट्स। इसी के साथ अपनी मेज़बान उज़मा खान को दीजिए इजाज़त। अगले प्रोग्राम में एक और ख़ास मेहमान के साथ हाजिर खिदमत होंगी। तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़।